Well, one last thing I want to do. I want to express my condolences to everybody who knew and loved Melissa Jenkins, because I know that some of the elected officials are going on to that funeral.
Melissa Jenkins wasn't just another name in the headlines. She was a devoted mother, a passionate teacher, and a cherished member of her community. On March 25, 2012, she was brutally tortured to death.
We tore her clothes off. Did she put up a fight? A little bit.
And the first degree murder verdict. It shouldn't have been anything else. And anybody that I've talked to, they've said it's too bad we don't have the death penalty in Vermont.
Before we begin, we want to extend our deepest respect to Melissa's family and loved ones. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's dive into the tragic story of Melissa Jenkins. On the cold night of March 25, 2012, the quiet stillness of Colonia County, Vermont, was shattered by a chilling 911 call. A man named Randy Rathburn reported finding a toddler alone in an SUV, parked on Goss Hollow Road. The driver was nowhere to be found. By 11:30 p.m., officers from the St. Johnsbury Police Department arrived at the scene. A silver Suzuki Grand Vitara stood on the roadside. Its headlights were still on, and the engine was humming softly. Inside, a toddler was asleep in the back seat, still secured in his car seat. Miraculously, the child was unharmed. Randy Rathburn to the officers that the vehicle belonged to his friend, 33-year-old Melissa Jenkins. 3 hours earlier, Melissa had called him, saying she was heading out to help a friend who was having car trouble. After failing to contact her many times, Randy grew concerned and decided to check on her. His search led to her SUV. The discovery raised a cascade of alarming questions. The car was found half a mile from Melissa's home. Why would she leave her son alone in the car, especially in the middle of the night and so close to home? And most urgently, where was Melissa? As officers illuminated the scene with their flashlights, immediately found marks of boot and tire tracks near Melissa's SUV. Following the tracks, they discovered a black and red men's baseball cap, a single woman's slip-on shoe, and a shattered cell phone. It appeared that Melissa had been abducted in a violent confrontation. Whether this was connected to the mysterious call she had made earlier that evening remained unclear. But one thing was certain: time was of the essence, and every second counted in the desperate effort to find her. To understand the gravity of Melissa Jenkins' disappearance, we need to know who she was. Melissa was a beloved figure in her community. Born on November 23, 1978, Melissa spent her entire life in St. Johnsbury, Vermont. After graduating from Danville High School in 1996, she pursued higher education, eventually earning a bachelor's degree in natural science. In 2004, Melissa joined the prestigious St. Johnsbury Academy as a science teacher. Her impact at the academy was immediate and profound. She inspired even the most disinterested students to find a love for science. Her classes were filled with hands-on experiments and practical lessons that made complex topics accessible and fun. Melissa wasn't just a teacher. She was a mentor, a coach, and a source of unwavering support for her students. She coached the girls' sport teams and served as a dormitory proctor. Her famous motto, "Love those the most who need it the most," encapsulated her approach to teaching and life. Outside of her work at St. Johnsbury Academy, Melissa juggled a full schedule. She was pursuing her Master's of Education at St. Michael's College in Colchester, while also working part-time at the Creamery, a local restaurant where she was adored by coworkers and customers alike. Despite her demanding schedule, Melissa's world revolved around her 2-year-old son, Ty. Her love for Ty was the driving force behind her tireless work ethic. Everything she did was for his future. Melissa Jenkins was the embodiment of strength, compassion, and dedication. That's why her sudden disappearance on March 25th shocked her community to its core. The police worked tirelessly to find Melissa as the small town of St. Johnsbury braced itself for the tragedy that would follow. With the likelihood of an abduction, the St. Johnsbury Police Department asked for reinforcements. Vermont State Police and the National Guard joined the investigation. Their mission was twofold: to uncover what had happened and to find the missing single mother. As dawn broke on March 26, 2012, Goss Hollow Road became the epicenter of a large-scale investigation. Police cruisers blocked off sections of the road, while search teams equipped with trained canines fanned out from the site where Melissa's SUV was found. Helicopters buzzed overhead, scanning the dense forests and fields from above. The search took investigators to Melissa's home, located just a short distance away. The house showed no signs of forced entry, theft, or violence. They only found a few minor details. Some papers left out in plain view, a business card for a local snow removal and towing company. With few substantial leads at the house, detectives shifted their focus to the evidence collected from the roadside. The items, a single shoe, a baseball cap, and tire tracks, were sent for forensic testing. However, the smashed cell phone, confirmed to belong to Melissa, became a critical focus. While the device was physically broken, investigators were determined to retrieve any data it might hold, knowing it could provide vital clues about her last movements or communications. Meanwhile, another team of investigators interviewed everyone connected to Melissa, including the only known witness to the terrifying events, Melissa's 2-year-old son, Ty. Interviewing a child so young was a challenge itself. Police sought help from an expert specializing in working with children. What Ty shared during that delicate conversation was nothing short of heartbreaking and deeply troubling. Despite his young age, Ty managed to describe that after Melissa got out of her vehicle, she was attacked. Through his limited vocabulary, he told officers, "Mommy cried," and added, "Someone pulled on Mommy's neck." This was enough to reinforce the urgency of the case. With no more insights to glean from the child, police shifted their focus to other potential leads. One of the first individuals investigators spoke to was B.J. Robertson, Melissa's ex-partner and the father of her son. B.J. was once a standout high school basketball star in Burlington and even played professionally in the Premier Basketball League with the Vermont Frost Heaves. Since retiring, he had been living a quiet life in Burlington. During the interview, detectives asked B.J. Robertson the usual questions about his relationship with Melissa, his involvement in Ty's life, and any possible conflicts. It quickly became clear that B.J. had no connection to Melissa's disappearance. There was no evidence linking him to the case, and multiple witnesses confirmed his alibi, placing him in Burlington at the time of the incident. Unfortunately for investigators, leads were scarce. Melissa's family and friends could not identify anyone who might have wished her harm. Known for her kindness and compassion, Melissa wasn't the type of person to have enemies. Even the mysterious phone call about car trouble led nowhere. That is, until police spoke with Melissa's brother, John. Like others close to Melissa, John initially said that everything in her life seemed fine. He had spent time with her just a few nights before, and there was nothing unusual in their interactions. However, when detectives pressed him about her past relationships, John hesitated before mentioning a name that shocked the investigators: Randy Rathburn. At first, Randy Rathburn seemed like a crucial witness, providing valuable details about Melissa's final hours. But investigators suspected he could have been more involved than he claimed. Melissa's brother John revealed that Melissa had just ended a relationship with Randy. Randy wanted something more serious, but Melissa wasn't ready for that level of commitment. Her life was already overwhelming, balancing a demanding career, her education, and raising her young son. She had asked to remain friends. While it seemed amicable on the surface, investigators wondered if Randy harbored deeper resentment. More disturbingly, Randy's record was full of minor criminal charges. Most were unremarkable, but one stood out: a prior charge for providing false information to the police. This detail, combined with his proximity to the case, raised red flags. For the first time since Melissa's disappearance, authorities felt they might have a potential suspect. When questioned, Randy maintained his innocence. He insisted that he held no hard feelings about their breakup and was happy to remain friends with Melissa. In fact, their bond had grown stronger in recent months, which was why she had called him that night. To back up his claims, Randy handed over his cell phone. The records confirmed his story. Melissa had called him at 8:39 p.m. on March 25th. Randy also voluntarily provided the shoes he had worn that evening. They didn't match the boot prints found near Melissa's SUV. As the interview progressed, detectives grew increasingly confident that Randy was telling the truth. He was nothing more than a concerned friend who was trying to help. Just as the hope for a breakthrough began to wane, detectives were hit with another devastating news. At approximately 1:30 p.m. on March 26, 2012, roughly 14 hours after Melissa Jenkins had been reported missing, officers from the Vermont State Police arrived at Pine Grove Park. Located about 10 miles from Goss Hollow Road, the park was an isolated area along the Connecticut River. As investigators made their way toward the boat launch, they noticed something unusual: a freshly hacked stump of a young pine sapling. The tree appeared to have been cut down very recently, which immediately raised suspicions. Moving closer to the water's edge, officers spotted a pile of branches and boughs in the shallow river. Someone had deliberately arranged this pile. What lay hidden was far more horrifying than the officers had imagined. Tangled in the mess of greenery, officers found the lifeless, nude body of Melissa Jenkins. A dive team was called in to recover Melissa's remains. Initial observations revealed that she had suffered injuries consistent with a violent attack. Bruising covered her upper torso. Her wrists and waist were loosely bound with rope. Investigators also found cinder blocks tied to her body, evidence that someone had tried to weigh her down and conceal her in the river. The crime scene pointed to one conclusion: Melissa's death was no accident. An autopsy later confirmed that she had died from strangulation. According to Dr. Stephen Shapiro, Vermont Chief Medical Examiner, it was unclear whether Melissa had been sexually assaulted, because crucial evidence may have been washed away by the river. However, one detail stood out: a series of small, evenly spaced circular wounds. These wounds were caused by a stun gun.
Some of the patterned injuries, the little checkerboards, could have been, as she was dying, anti-mortem injuries. Those are harder to pick out. The bruising, the contusions inside her lips, by all means, anti-mortem. The stun guns as well, anti-mortem. Before she was dead, we can see that reaction.
This revelation led to a chilling conclusion. The attacker had come fully prepared to harm Melissa. This was a calculated and premeditated act. The discovery of Melissa's body sent shockwaves through the small town of St. Johnsbury. A beloved mother, teacher, and friend had been brutally tortured and murdered. The community rallied to honor her memory. Vigils were held across town, and at St. Johnsbury Academy, teachers and students distributed pink ribbons as a symbol of support. Many wore pink to show solidarity. Her memorial service held at the academy drew an astonishing 1,400 people. Locals also raised funds to help care for Melissa's young son. Amid the grief, one question lingered: who could have done something so senseless, so horrific? At this very moment, Randy Rathburn appeared like a savior again. He had remembered a small but crucial detail from his final phone call with Melissa. She had mentioned a name during their conversation: Prue. Though the name meant nothing to Randy, it immediately sparked interest among investigators. While searching Melissa's house, they had found a business card for a local snow removal and towing company. That company was owned by a husband and wife duo, Alan and Patricia Prue. Just hours before Melissa's body was discovered, Alan and Patricia had shown up at the Vermont State Police Precinct. They filed a report about Patricia's ex-husband, alleging that he was stalking her, stealing her identity, and falsifying documents in her name. At the time, their visit seemed unrelated to the investigation. However, with the new detail from Randy's account, the Prues' timing suddenly appeared more than coincidental.
Let me get some names here. I don't even know you, so I'd like to know your names if you could. So what is your name?
Patricia Pro.
What is your name?
Alan.
Same last name, Prue?
Yes.
In the scheme of things, this is something that you can fix. I don't know if you guys saw the newspaper today, that girl.
He is just trying to track me down through this, and now he's come up missing. So it has to do with identity theft and
He's missing or just kind of avoiding being caught because of...
He's not in that county no more.
Well, that doesn't mean missing. Missy's the girl that's on the newspaper today. She's missing.
Right.
She's gone and nobody knows where she is. That's missing.
Watching the interview, detectives noted some peculiar behavior. Alan seemed visibly nervous, sweating a lot even though the interview room wasn't warm. Meanwhile, Patricia tried to steer the conversation in strange directions. At one point, she brought up Melissa Jenkins' disappearance, suggesting her ex-husband might somehow be involved. The comment came out of nowhere, with no backup evidence, raising further suspicions. Detectives decided it was time to dig deeper into Alan and Patricia Prue's background. The couple lived in a trailer in Waterford, Vermont, on a property owned by Alan's mother. Their home was less than a 10-minute drive from Pine Grove Park, where Melissa's body had been discovered. Alan and Patricia met online in 2008 and married shortly afterward. While Patricia didn't work, Alan occasionally took on odd jobs, including snow removal and towing services. This was how they had met Melissa Jenkins. The previous year, Melissa had hired the Prues to clear snow from her driveway. However, she had declined to use their services again, telling friends that Alan made her feel uncomfortable. Armed with this information, detectives intensified their focus on the Prues. They obtained Melissa's phone records and discovered that shortly before her disappearance, at 8:29 p.m., she received a call from an unrecognized number. It was linked to a burner phone, unregistered and untraceable. Detectives tried pulling records for the burner phone's activation and call history and found out it had been activated near a Walmart store in Littleton, New Hampshire, just across the Vermont border. They immediately went to the store to review surveillance footage and transaction records. What they found was undeniable. The burner phone had been purchased by Alan and Patricia Prue on the very day of Melissa's murder. Patricia was captured paying for the phone with a personal check, a careless mistake that directly linked her to the purchase. This was why they had come to the police station. They planned to blame Patricia's ex-husband for everything they would do. The evidence against the Prues continued to mount. The burner phone had pinged near Melissa's home on the night of her murder and later near Pine Grove Park. Surveillance footage from a fast food restaurant showed Alan wearing a black and red baseball cap, the same cap found near Melissa's abandoned SUV. Convinced that Alan and Patricia Prue were involved, police brought them in for questioning on March 27, 2012, 2 days after Melissa's body was discovered. On March 27, 2012, Alan and Patricia Prue were brought in for questioning regarding Melissa Jenkins' murder. The couple was separated and interviewed individually, a strategy designed to prevent them from coordinating their stories. By this point, detectives had a strong case built against them, with surveillance footage, phone records, and other evidence tying the couple to the crime. Patricia was questioned first. When confronted with the surveillance footage of her buying the burner phone, she flatly denied any involvement and quickly requested a lawyer. Investigators immediately turned their focus to Alan, and they were right. Within minutes, Alan burst into tears and confessed everything. At first, he admitted abducting and killing Melissa all alone.
I have no idea. Something was fucking wrong with me that night. I have no clue. I didn't feel myself. I did not feel like myself that night. It was very, very strange. I did it myself. My wife had nothing to do with it.
It didn't take long before Alan contradicted himself under the weight of the evidence. Eventually, he admitted both him and his wife were involved in Melissa's disappearance and murder.
I ended up going up on Northwell Road, and my wife called Melissa from the track phone. Melissa come down, pulled up in front of us, and then next thing I know, I got her on the ground doing it. Doing what? Strangling.
Did she put up a fight?
A little bit.
But why did they target Melissa? Alan's answer was about to send chills down everyone's spine.
Her and I wanted a girl we could play with, but we wanted a willing one. Because she's bi. Okay, so you got her down there. So you could maybe have a threesome with her, and you didn't even ask? No. You guys just strangled her? Yeah.
According to Alan, he and Patricia had been obsessed with the idea of luring another woman into their relationship. In fact, they had found some partners, but none had satisfied their desires until they met Melissa Jenkins. 1 year earlier, Melissa had hired the Prus company for snow plowing services. Alan misinterpreted her kind demeanor as flirting and attempted to ask her out on a few dates. Feeling uncomfortable, Melissa told Alan to stop contacting her and chose not to hire his company again. It was then that Alan and Patricia began to plan the abduction. Over the following months, they stalked Melissa, carefully planning their crimes. Alan claimed they never intended to harm Melissa. On the night of March 25, 2012, the couple used the burner phone to call Melissa, pretending to have car trouble. Melissa, kind-hearted and trusting, responded and drove out to meet them. However, Alan admitted that when Melissa arrived, something inside him snapped. As she stepped out of her SUV, he launched a sudden and violent attack, overpowering her and dragging her into their vehicle. Once inside, he began driving, while Patricia continued the savage assault in the back seat. At some point, Alan claimed Patricia accidentally killed Melissa. When Alan found out, it was too late. Realizing what they had done, the couple spiraled into panic. Their dark fantasy had turned into a brutal crime. To cover their tracks, they returned to their trailer in Waterford. There, they stripped Melissa's body of clothing, doused her in bleach to erase fingerprints and DNA. They then gathered supplies, including cinder blocks and rope, before driving to Pine Grove Park.
I threw her in the back seat. I went to my house. I got the cement blocks and the rope. We tore her clothes off from her.
Where?
Outside.
Yeah.
It was on a tarp outside.
Okay, on a tarp.
Then I got the clothes off. I laid the tarp in the trunk of my car. I put her in the trunk of my car. Drove to the fucking boat access. We put her in the water.
You and Patricia.
Yep, we both dragged her into the water.
They tied Melissa's body to the cinder blocks and placed it in the river, hoping it would sink. When the body didn't submerge, Alan admitted they cut down a small pine sapling and used the branches to conceal her remains.
I dumped bleach on her.
Why?
Thinking I would get rid of fingerprints or whatever. I put her in the water, laid her down with blocks, tied her to feet with rope, put branches over her, and we left and went home.
After leaving the park, the Prus drove across the state border into New Hampshire, where they burned Melissa's clothing, Alan's boots, and other incriminating items. Despite these efforts, their poorly executed cover-up left behind a trail of evidence that ultimately led investigators to their door. Alan's confession was chilling, not only for its details, but for the casual way he described the events. While he admitted to strangling Melissa, he repeatedly claimed that he didn't know why he had done it, and insisted that something felt wrong that night. He even addressed Melissa directly during the confession, saying,
Melissa, if you can hear me, I'm terribly sorry. You didn't deserve that. You're a nice person. You deserve to live a long life, watch your baby grow up. I'm truly sorry. Never do that.
Detectives did not believe Alan's claim that Melissa's death was a terrible accident. If Alan and Patricia never intended to harm Melissa, why did they take such calculated steps to lure her out late at night? Why did they carefully conceal their identities and try to shift blame onto Patricia's ex-husband? To investigators, the conclusion was clear. Alan and Patricia Prue may not intend to kill Melissa immediately, but they had meticulously planned to abduct her. Following Alan's chilling confession, both he and Patricia were charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted kidnapping. Further investigations revealed even more incriminating evidence against the evil couple.
State police arrested Alan Prue, age 30, and Patricia Prue, age 33, both of Waterford, Vermont, for second-degree murder and improper disposal of a body. Both of these subjects who were arrested were processed at the St. John's Reed Barracks. Both Alan and Patricia Prue were lodged at the Northeast Correctional Facility in St. Johnsbury and are both being held without bail.
During a search of the Prue property, police discovered bleach and cinder blocks matching those found with Melissa's body in the Connecticut River. In a messy drawer, they spotted an empty stun gun box. Tire tread impressions from Alan's car also matched the tracks at the crime scene. In New Hampshire, police found burned remnants of Melissa's clothing, steel toe inserts, and partially melted soles from men's work boots. These boots matched the footprints discovered near Melissa's abandoned SUV. The final, indisputable piece of evidence came from DNA testing on the black and red baseball cap. The results confirmed it was Alan Prue's hat, directly tying him to the crime scene. Alan Prue was the first to stand trial in October 2014. Facing charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted kidnapping, Alan's defense team attempted to shift the blame entirely onto Patricia. They painted Alan as a passive participant who had been manipulated by his controlling wife. Patricia was the driving force behind the dark fantasies and the mastermind behind the attack. To bolster their argument, the defense pointed to Alan's low IQ and the fact that he had never finished high school.
Alan Prue, you will hear evidence, has a 75 IQ, and he's outmatched during what turned out to be 7 hours of interrogation. And in an attempt to deflect blame from his wife, Alan Prue made up a story that landed him in that chair.
Alan's mother testified that her son had been a normal person with many hobbies before meeting Patricia. She described Patricia as a controlling figure who dominated Alan's life, discouraged his hobbies, and left him isolated. He was vulnerable to manipulation. In October 2014, Alan Prue was convicted of all charges. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In February 2015, it was Patricia Prue's turn to face trial. Despite her denials during interrogation, forensic evidence and testimony exposed her deep involvement in the crime. The most shocking evidence came from Patricia's computer, which revealed disturbing search queries in the days leading up to the murder. Starting with phrases like, "How to kidnap a girl?" The searches escalated into more explicit and sinister topics, leaving little doubt about Patricia's active role in planning the crime. Adding to this was testimony from a jailhouse informant who had been incarcerated with Patricia. The informant claimed that Patricia openly confessed her role in both the planning and execution of the murder. Meanwhile, in a bid to remove charge of murder, Patricia's lawyer argued that she was mentally ill with post-traumatic syndrome, general anxiety, panic attacks, and personality disorder. However, to the courtroom's surprise, Patricia Prue chose to take a plea deal, pleading guilty to choking Melissa Jenkins to death. She accepted a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The deal allowed her to maintain communication with Alan while they were both in prison. Caledonia County Judge Robert Bent condemned her actions with a stern statement.
I've been on the bench for almost a decade. Seldom have I seen conduct as vile and calculated as you and your husband planned and inflicted on Melissa Jenkins.
It was only at this moment that Patricia Prue finally shed a tear. She expressed regret, wishing she had sought mental help, and apologized for her disgusting crime.
I know that there's a profound difference between being sorry you got caught and being sorry for a tragedy you helped cause. I'm not sorry we were caught. I am sorry that it ever happened at all.
While the convictions of Alan and Patricia Prue brought a sense of justice, they could never undo the pain caused by Melissa Jenkins' tragic death. Her absence left an immeasurable void in her family, her students, and the small community of St. Johnsbury.
No one wins. It's another chapter that's taken care of, but we do know that Alan Prue will never hurt another person again. They let him out in chains, and it was a good feeling that the family needed.
Nobody does win. We don't get Melissa back, but that monster is off the streets.
To this day, Alan and Patricia Prue remain incarcerated. Their heinous actions ended the life of a remarkable woman, but they could not erase the love and light she brought into the world. Melissa was posthumously awarded her Master of Education degree from St. Michael's College. This recognition reflected the hard work and commitment she had shown in pursuing her goals, even while balancing the responsibilities of being a single mother and a full-time teacher. Several memorial scholarships were established in Melissa's honor, supporting students of education or science, the fields she had been so passionate about. Thank you for joining us as we shared Melissa Jenkins' story. If this video moved you, please consider supporting educational initiatives in your community or contributing to causes that honor victims of violence. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more true crime stories. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.